Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight for KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. I'm Cody Proctor. Well, new tonight, the U.S. Attorney's Office of Eastern Washington filed a complaint against MultiCare and Deaconess Hospital, claiming they knowingly put patients at risk and fraudulently billed patients for unnecessary surgeries. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk is looking through the complaint, new at 10 tonight.
A complaint filed in federal district court says MultiCare knowingly endangered patients and fraudulently billed Medicare and Medicaid to the tune of millions of dollars for spinal surgeries performed at Deaconess Hospital between 2019 and 2021. The surgeries in question were performed by Dr. Jason Dreyer. According to the complaint, Dr. Dreyer resigned from Providence years earlier after being accused of performing unnecessary surgeries, harming patients, and falsifying diagnoses. The complaint says MultiCare ignored those red flags when they hired Dr. Dreyer, recognizing he was a, quote, workhorse. According to the complaint, MultiCare placed the doctor on an incentive compensation structure, meaning the more surgeries he performed, the more money he made. The complaint states the U.S. Attorney's Office informed MultiCare it was investigating Dr. Dreyer in 2020. However, MultiCare and Deaconess allowed him to continue operating on patients until the Washington Department of Health stripped him of surgical privileges in 2021.
When I saw the articles, I was very upset and disappointed, but I was not surprised.
KREM 2 interviewed one of Dreyer's patients in 2021. Oz Allwater was diagnosed with a pinched nerve and wanted to avoid surgery. He asked for alternatives like steroid injections, but says Dreyer steered him in a different direction.
I do remember him. He was very optimistic about that surgery. He was kind of excited talking about it.
Allwater says a week after the surgery, the pain returned and persisted. Allwater is not the only patient to come forward. According to the complaint, Providence, Dreyer's former employer, agreed to pay $22.7 million to resolve its liability concerning surgical procedures performed by him. Dr. Dreyer agreed to pay $1.2 million to resolve his individual liability under the False Claims Act. KREM 2 reached out to MultiCare. They responded saying, quote, MultiCare has not yet received the complaint filed by the Department of Justice. We can assure you that MultiCare's commitment to our mission, partnering for healing and a healthy future, and our dedication to the health of the communities we serve is as strong as ever. The safety of our patients is and always will be our highest priority. We look forward to the chance to defend ourselves in this matter. In Spokane, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
Developing tonight, one person's in the hospital and another's in custody after a shooting in downtown Spokane. It happened around 4:30 this afternoon. Spokane police say the victim was shot in the middle of the road near the intersection of 2nd and Brown Street. SPD is currently investigating and says the victim's been taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. A suspect was found within minutes and now faces first-degree assault charges. Well, there's still no trial date for the man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students. That man, Brian Kohberger, had 2 hearings today. The first was closed to the public. The second, however, discussed Kohberger's motion to have the court reconsider dismissing the grand jury indictment. Judge John Judge denied that motion once again. The court also discussed setting a new trial date. The state's asking for this summer when students at local schools are on break, but the defense is asking for it to be the following summer, 2025. Defense attorney Ann Taylor says there's a lot of evidence and they need to have more time to go through it all.
51 terabytes of our discovery. To put it in perspective, 1 terabyte can hold 250,000 pictures. 1 terabyte, and we have 51 of those.
If we cannot have a trial this summer, then I would say the earliest would be the summer of next year, for the reasons that I've described to the court about the practicalities of carrying on a trial of that duration with the high school, with the universities.
The judge did not make a decision today on a new trial date. He wants to give it some more time. The defense team also says it's also planning to file a motion to have the case moved out of Latah County. New tonight, a local church supporting Israel was vandalized with anti-Semitic graffiti. Plymouth Congregational Church near 8th and Cedar wrote "God bless Israel" on their reader board. This week, someone tagged F Zionism in orange spray paint. KREM 2 spoke with City Councilman Jonathan Bingle this afternoon, who says he's received messages about it.
For me, it's sort of disappointing that, on Monday, the resolution came forward sort of to, say that, like, both anti-Semitism and Islamophobia, aren't acceptable here in the city of Spokane. And then, literally the next day we get that message written on that read report.
KREM 2 was unable to reach the church for its pastor for comment. Well, in the meantime, let's take a look towards the weekend and talk weather with meteorologist Michelle Bosch. She's in the Weather Center tonight. And Michelle, we saw that sunshine today, but I see your satellite and radar map behind you right there.
Yeah, it was a glorious day today. The sunshine just even helped to boost our temperatures even more, and we saw some locations in the Spokane area near 50 degrees today. We do have more warm weather in the forecast, but we also have some rainfall to contend with. So as you pointed out, taking a look at satellite and radar, even though it was a dry day today in Spokane, the rain is on the way, and looks like there's going to be quite a bit of it this weekend, as much as a quarter to up to half an inch of rain by the time it's all said and done. You can look at the short-term forecast is pretty soggy, but temperatures are going to remain well above freezing, so we don't have to worry about any inclement roadways. 44 for your Saturday. The rain should mostly be confined to the morning hours on Sunday. We may even see some sun breaks by Sunday afternoon, and look at that, a high of 47.
Michelle, thanks so much. Let's turn over now to Night Beat for a quick look at some of the day's top stories. This busy Washington legislative session continues, and there are several new bills lawmakers are discussing. So let's go through a few of the key ones tonight. First, this year, lawmakers will try once again to lower the threshold for DUI. That means fewer drinks to put you over the legal limit. The current legal limit's a blood alcohol concentration of 0.08, but advocates for the change at the Washington Traffic Safety Commission say decades of research show almost all people become impaired at just 0.05.
We've had at least a 33-year high in our traffic fatalities, and impaired driving accounts for more than half of those.
The Washington Wine Institute says changing the state's BAC level would harm the hospitality industry. It wants to find other ways to address the problem of drunk driving. Utah, by the way, was the first state to lower their legal limit to that 0.05 threshold. The following year, the State Patrol says alcohol-related crashes dropped by 33%, although they surged again during the pandemic. Next, for the second year in a row, lawmakers are considering a bill that would add clergy to the list of people mandated to report abuse or neglect in Washington. But this time around, it clarifies clergy would not be required to report abuse if they learn of it during confession.
I bring this legislation before you today because children need to be able to trust adults, and they need to have trusted adults in their life that when they're being abused, they can go to them and trust that they will help to make it stop.
Washington's one of only 5 states in the U.S. where clergy are not mandated reporters. And another bill on the table would restrict the sale of fur in the state. Those sponsoring the bill say it would decrease the demand for animal cruelty products. Those opposed say it'll have major financial implications for rural and ranching families. And finally, starting this month, farmers will be required to pay their workers overtime when they log more than 40 hours in a week. While the idea sounds good to some, many farm workers are opposed to the new regulations. They say the new law prompts their employers to cap their hours, resulting in less pay. The Center for Latino Leadership gathered at the state capitol yesterday. They argue the measure's backfiring, especially for seasonal workers.
Now they're having to stay here 52 weeks a year to make the same amount of money, or less. In many cases, it's less than 40 hours a week. We've taken away their profit potential.
In a statement on its website, the United Farm Workers of America, a labor union that testified in favor of the original bill back in 2021, called the exclusion of farm workers from overtime pay racist and is actively campaigning for OT pay to be extended to all farm workers nationwide. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just head to our website, KREM.com. And that is also our KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where you get more news in less time.